Solidworks environment, I've already opened the file. If you haven't, presumably you haven't, so what you would do is go to open. Okay, I already see that it's a little bit slow, so let's see how this goes. Okay, so if you go open and you go to, again, in my case, it's my disk is H, I go here, and okay. It slowly calls to my computer, and so this is, for instance, my desktop, my documents, my Dropbox folder, and so where did you put the file that you downloaded from Canvas? Go and find it and open it. How many of you are working on it or have already done it? Okay. How many of you already are out of phase with what you're doing? Okay. So it's possible. I see that mine is slower than usual. It's probably because there is several of us running from the same. Unfortunately, there is like a solution that I have for this. So we have to plow through, okay? What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna close this and then I'm gonna open a new file, if this allows me. Okay. So now for the next 5 minutes, I will redo the sketch that you saw, okay? You don't have to do this. You can just like see what I do. So basically, I start from changing the units here. Okay, okay. Please be patient because it's a little bit slow. So I change it here. I'm changing the units to millimeters, grams, and seconds. Okay, once I've done that, like it should be a good practice to save the file. So let's save the file. So let's call it, I'll call it part 1, it's fine, okay. Okay, now the file is saved with the generic name. Now what I'm gonna do is I wanna choose a plane, because every time you wanna make a sketch, you need to choose like a plane for that sketch. Right? So in this case, I'm choosing the front plane, and then I say there's this first button here that's create a sketch. I click it, and it automatically gives you like a view that's perpendicular to the front plane. Usually a bit faster than this, but it will do. Yes. Okay. So now you can see that I have a sketch that's like open, and I can modify it. The way you can tell is that there is those symbols on that corner, the approve or undo, or like cancel. So once you're happy with the sketch, you can just click on that button, the one with the arrow, and it kind of like approves that sketch and exits the sketch in operation. Okay, so what I do now, first thing I do a center line. Okay, and this center line, it's only for construction. Painstaking is low. Is anybody luckier with a faster?
What happened?
No, I'm just asking if anyone has a faster installation of SolidWorks.
I do. Want me to plug in mine?
And you have like a
HDMI. Yeah.
So we're gonna try and swap on his laptop. It may be a little bit faster. We'll try, hopefully. Thank you. I also try not to drop your. no promises there. This is HDMI here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we have something. Okay, so I'm gonna close these. Okay, so this is a new sketch, a new drawing, right? Okay, let's change. Okay, looks a little bit different from my installation, but hopefully I will be able to find all the parts. What are the units here? Units. Don't do that. Okay. Oh, there it is. It was already in the right units. Perfect. Okay, so let's go back to a sketch on the front plane. Create a sketch. Okay, now it's faster. Okay, so again, center line is the first thing. We go as we approach the. This is the origin. Can you see it clearly? It's kind of like pinkish a little bit. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Or maybe I do. Hold on. When it does this, sometimes it's the cord that's. Yep, it's gonna be pink. It doesn't look pink on this, but hey. So, okay, so, but you can still see, right? Okay, good. So now I have this sketching, and you can see that like next to the pencil, there is like a little line that says like, that's like for a center line. So if you go close to the center of the coordinate system, you can see there is an orange dot. That's like, you know, it says that like it's snapping to that point. So it's creating a relationship so that if I start clicking now, it creates a line anchored to that point. Okay? You have already covered this in the videos, so can I do a little bit faster? Okay, so let's make a straight vertical line. And you can see it says 90 degrees, so that's vertical. And there is the yellow little square with the vertical line, it's the relationship that's about to create. So now it's created. Now let's do a smart dimension, and let's make it 140. Okay, and okay, let's look to, okay, now this is just for reference. Now I'm gonna create another straight line that starts just a little bit left of the origin of the axis, but it's aligned. And this line is gonna be like something like this, and then it's gonna close here, just like matching that point. And then there's gonna be a horizontal segment, and then a diagonal segment here, and then I can ask, okay, now I wanna make sure that these 2 points are horizontal, right, in the same horizontal line. So I select both of them with Control, and once you select both of them, you can choose what relationship horizontal. Now they are horizontal to one another. I also want the distance from the point to this vertical center line, okay, to be, it says 21, and I'm taking the double distance, right? Like this was like a diameter, right? So if you make it shorter, it's just the actual distance. If you push it there, it becomes double, and this one has to be 6. Okay? And let's zoom in a little bit. Another dimension that I have is that this one, hold on, this one in the length of this segment, not the projection, because you know, depending on what you do, you can get the projection or the actual segment. The segment should be 100 here. Okay, and then I know that this angle here, the angle between these two, should be 165. Okay. If you want to move, like pan around, you can still use the middle button of your mouse, the one with the click wheel usually, but with the control button down. and instead of like rotating, it will drag like this way, like it's panning around. So that could be useful. Now this little segment here, I make it, oops, I selected middle. You go to Smart Dimension and you make it 5. This one here, you make it 27. Okay. Okay, now we need to create a 3-point arc between this point here and a point that's on this horizontal here. And then once you select the first point, the third point is the curvature of this arc. So we make it this way. Okay, this is still underdefined, still needs to be further defined. So let's set some dimensions here. So this should be, the distance from this to this should be 120. Okay. This point here should be, let's zoom in, should be horizontal with these other two. So again, selected both points with the control. Oops, there was Smart Dimension. I was still in Smart Dimensions. So select these and the other one and make them horizontal. Okay. Solvable. Okay. Let's remove these for the time being. Okay, now we set the curvature for these to be 300. Okay. At this point here, it's still not in the right place. So I drag it here. What I want to do, I want to set the distance from this point to this point here to be also 3 millimeters. Okay, so Smart Dimensions again, find the 2 points, and this point here, and make that 3. Okay. Okay, now the sketch appears to be fully defined, right? Okay. And then I'm adding 3-point arc between here, these, and let's make it this one 3. So Smart Dimension, make it 3. And it's 3. Okay. If you click the F button, it goes back to interesting. I've done this thing like several times to make sure that like I could go through these, and this time it doesn't look the way it should look. Okay. So it appears that I overdefined some aspect of this drawing, and to be honest with you, I'm not sure what it is. Okay, so this looks a little bit different from the one that we should have created. But anyway, that's pretty much the way to do it. Again, not sure what I did wrong right now, but it's almost the right one. Now I'm gonna put this down, and I'm gonna open again the one that was done right, which is this one here. Okay, so this is the one that you all have, right? And if you edit sketch here, to select edit sketch, you're gonna get all the dimensions that, again, to me are the same that I used, but there is probably some relationship that's different, that I accidentally created. Okay, so this is good. Now that we have this, we have started working together, right? How many of you are here now? Okay, it's not too bad. So at this point, the thing that we need to do is to extrude this sketch into a 3D volume. So with the sketch selected, you just go extrude, and you can extrude it by 10 millimeters, which is here. And instead of making it blind, which means on one side of the sketch, you make it mid-plane, so that the front plane of that contains the sketch is the mid-plane of our volume, which is going to be useful in a moment. Okay, once you've done this, you say, okay, right? And this is, we have something that's like a volume, a solid now. Now, next thing to do here, we can select this face to create another sketch, okay? Select this face here and say, create a sketch on this face. And the other thing I need to do is to make this sketch that's already visible, so it's already good. And in the new sketch, so right now I'm in the sketch number 2. You see it's open here, and there is those kind of like buttons there that tells you that like I'm in editing mode, which is also confirmed by on the top corner there, the editing mode is clicked down. Okay, now I'm gonna take, let's go normal, okay, and now I'm gonna say offset entities. What I wanna do basically is to create another version of the overall silhouette, but smaller, so that I can carve out some of the volume. So offset entities, and now I need to select entity, and I select this segment here, and because it has select chain selected here, it's gonna select the whole segments that are attached to the one that I chose. If I deselect this, I only get the single segment there. I know it's yellow, it's hard to see, but by clicking here, and then you're gonna click reverse because you want it to be inside. Now that's a little bit too small, and that's because the offset is set by default at 10 millimeter. Let's make this 5. So now we have like a nice carving in there. So I'm happy with this. So I say, okay. One more thing that I can do here is that I can try to avoid these super sharp corners here that are also difficult to manufacture. And so what I'm doing is that I'm creating a fillet, or a filet, if you're French. So create a fillet of, the first one is gonna be 1 millimeter radius, and it's gonna be this tiny little corner at the bottom. And you see that when you select it, it shows you a preview of what's gonna look like. I like it, okay. Then I'll change my fillet parameter to 2. So make it a little bit bigger, and I select the other corners here, 1, 2, and 3. Happy, okay, okay again, and it's done. Okay, I'm saving. From time to time, remember to save so that you don't lose your work. Now, this sketch, we're gonna use it to do an extrude cut to the volume. Okay, so with the sketch selected here, I'm gonna do extruded cut over there. Okay, and so now I'm gonna, with the click wheel, you can rotate around this thing. Oh, this is so very sensitive, this mouse. So right now you see it's basically cutting throughout the entire thing because 10 millimeter is the whole thing. Yes?
Can you show me how to get to the fillet?
Yes. So let's undo the extrude cut. So going back to the sketch, when I was in editing mode for the sketch, this one here, what I did was, there is this button here, sketch fillet.
Do we exit the sketch?
No, so there are, that's a good question. There are 2 ways to create a fillet. Let's what do you want to call it?
Fillet.
Fillet, French way? Okay. there are two ways. You can create a fillet on the sketch or on the 3D feature. Okay, what I'm doing here, I'm creating the fillet on the sketch. It's just a choice. I think you get the same result basically, but this time I'm doing it this way. Later I'll do it on a feature. So if you're doing it on sketch, you do it from within the sketch editing mode, and you just use this command here that says sketch fillet. Because I've already done it, I'm gonna undo, and now I'm gonna move to, again, I wanna extrude cut this new sketch. So extrude cut, and instead of 10 millimeters, which is the whole thickness of the stem, I'm gonna just do 3 millimeters. So it's just a little bit of an embossing. Okay, that's good, and I approve. And now you can see, if you zoom in, that there is this nice, carving. Now you want to have the same thing on the other side, right? On this side here. So to do that, we can mirror the feature about the center plane here. That's why when we did the initial extrude, we did the middle plane, so that plane can be used for mirroring some features. So with the cut extrude selected, I'm gonna do mirror, that's here, mirror. And I need to choose the feature to mirror, which was already selected, so it knows that I want to mirror that feature, and it wants to know the plane about which I need to mirror. And this is gonna be, if you go to the tree here of all the features, I'm gonna choose the front plane, and you can see a preview, that's the right plane. So you select it, and it's previewing the mirror. It looks good, okay. And now this thing has the same feature. So if I make any change now on one side, it automatically applies to both sides because it's a mirror feature and it's dynamically updated. So we are done now with the stem. This was the easy part. Now the not so easy part is to create. What we're gonna do, if you follow on the handout that I gave you, we wanna basically create the neck, and then we're gonna put like the head, the femoral head on the neck. So that's what we're gonna do next. One step that I'm skipping here is just for the sake of time, is doing the fillet for this one here. All these sharp edges here, you may wanna round them off because otherwise they can be places where stress concentrates, which is something that you wanna avoid in a mechanical design. So you're gonna fillet all these things here. That's like easy to do, but it takes like a couple of minutes. I'm gonna skip it. Now, what we do is we select this surface here. I have selected this surface, and I'm gonna say create a sketch on this surface here, and also in the new sketch I'm gonna do it normal. So now I'm normal on this face here. Okay. So this is the face I'm working on. The first thing I need to do is to create some kind of like reference items, axes, points, planes, coordinate system, because now everything is gonna be at that angle, and so I need to create another coordinate system that helps me in that direction. So the way to do it is, first let's create some center lines, and when you go close to these, basically it shows you that kind of like little yellow square, it's the midline of that horizontal segment, so that's where I want to start. And then I want to go all the way to the midline of this guy here, which if I get close, it appears. Okay, so that's my first center line. And then ask, and then I create another center line, this time horizontal, same. So I go with the mid direction, and I move out until I lost it, until I get here. Okay, it's there, and then you all go all the way to, and you have created your second. Okay. Now let's make sure that these two center lines are perpendicular to one another. Okay. And now we want to define a point that's just at the intersection. because we need a point and two axes to create a coordinate system. So I'm gonna create, here there's this little thing there that says point, just sketch a point. And we go close, when you see it, we get it, and we put a point, and then we're done. Okay, now we have a point in this plane. Now what I want to do, in addition to that, is to create the basis for the neck, okay, the femoral neck. So far so good? Is anybody following? A little behind. Am I going too fast?
Professor,
Yes.
I got a video. I'll post it. So I'll send it to everybody.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna create a center rectangle here. Okay. So I'm gonna start from the center here, and then I'm gonna go this. Of course, I want these to span the entire thing. So the way to do is you can just stop here, and then you can set the relationship for these and this other segment here to be collinear. So tap, it snaps. And then yeah, do the same on this other side here. These and this one here, let's make them collinear, and it snaps again. Okay. Now, if I had done the filleting of the geometry of the stem, have the rounded corners here on the four sides. And so I'm gonna round the corners of these two, which means that in the final volume there will be some kind of like strange discontinuity, but it's just because I haven't filleted the stem. So if you go later and fillet the stem, then you get like a smoother connection. Okay, so to do this, same as we did before, I'm gonna fillet this with the 2 mm radius, and I'm gonna select all the corners here. And the fourth one is this one. Okay, now I have this rectangle with rounded corners. Okay, so this is looking good. Okay. Now, again, I need to create another plane where I can put the end of that neck, because this neck is a kind of like a more complex geometry that goes from having a base that's a rectangle with rounded corners to a circle. Okay, that kind of operation in Solidworks is a loft. Okay, a loft is when you create a volume that connects two different surfaces, and it basically kind of like goes from one shape to the other, right? So to do that, the first thing is to create a plane that's at a distance but parallel to this face here, and then in that new plane we will create like a circular sketch and then do the lofting. So that's the plan. So select this plane here, and then you say, hold on, this one is, okay, now I'm out of the sketch. Now what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna, plane, base plane, reference geometry, plane, create a plane, okay, and this plane here is gonna be, before I can do the plane, I need to do the coordinate system. So coordinate system first. For the coordinate system, I need to select the center point here, and then I need a couple of axes. One is this, and the other one is gonna be this line here, that red line. Yes, kind of, but it works the same. Okay. Now I have my coordinate system here. Now I can create the plane, because now I have an axis to project that plane. Questions? Yes. So basically what I'm trying to do now is to create a plane that is parallel to this face, but it needs to be offset by a certain amount. Okay. And in order to create a plane, you need a reference geometry and a distance or a direction. In this case, I probably didn't need to create the coordinate system for this specific task, but it's useful nonetheless. So let's see. Create a plane. Okay, the first reference is gonna be this actual face here. Okay, it's happy with that. So it's already created a plane. Now all I need to do is say how far, and that's 25 millimeters. Okay, that looks good. Okay. Now in the new plane, we go and create a sketch because we need to sketch a circle. And to make sure that like there is the same point on the other side, I'm gonna basically take the point here. So this is an operation that can involve two different sketches. I am in sketch that I've created inside this plane. So whatever I do, it's gonna be created in this plane. But I'm gonna take as a reference the center point of this. And the goal is that I'm gonna create another point that's the projection of that point in the new plane. And that's gonna be the center of my circle. So select that point and then say convert entities. And now I have the point projected up here. Okay? Now I'm gonna focus on that new plane, which is here. Let's make it a little bit bigger. And now we create the circle. So just circle operation, choose the point, and make a circle that's gonna be, the dimension of this is gonna be 14. So select smart dimension and make this diameter 14. Okay. Yes?
How do you convert entities?
So convert entities, you have to have a sketch in the plane where you want the destination plane. So my destination plane, let me show you the 3D thing. Oh, wrong mouse. My destination plane is this, and so I want to take a feature from a different plane, a different sketch, and I want to project it on the destination. So I create a sketch in the destination plane, and with that sketch open, I go select a feature in a different sketch, and I say convert entities. One thing that I didn't do here, but sometimes may be necessary, is it's possible that when you are in a sketching mode in a different sketch, you don't see the previous sketch. And so what you have to do in that case is to go on the old sketch, right click and say make it visible. In this case it's already visible, so the option is to hide. But if it's invisible, this would say show. And so that becomes visible, and at that point you get the point, and when you click convert entities, that point, or it could be a line, it could be any feature, it gets projected on the new plane. Okay. Now I have the two bases of my loft. One is the rounded rectangle and one is this circle here. Let's see if it works. So this is my base and this is the other base. I'm selecting them both, and it should work if I say loft, and it worked. Okay, so now it has created a loft between those two. I don't want to touch it, it's fine, and it's okay. Okay. Now you will notice that there is some kind of like strange thing here, and that's because I didn't fillet these edges here. If you do fillet these edges, it becomes nice and smooth. Okay. Then next step, we need to finish the neck, and then we can work on the femoral head. So the neck, to finish it, we need a little bit more like a cylindrical shape that protrudes from this. And so I'm gonna select that geometry, which is sketch number 4 for me. It's that one, and I say extrude. So this is like a simple extrude by 10 millimeters. Okay, I like it. Okay. Okay. Now I go into the front plane view, because now if you look at the handout that I gave you, what I did was like, in order to create the ball of the femoral head, you need to create the profile, and then you can revolve that profile around its axis. Okay, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna create a sketch in the front plane, that's the profile of that ball, and then I just revolve it. At that point, we're done. Okay. So we need to create a sketch in the front plane, and let's make it perpendicular. You know, there is like when you right click on one of these features, you can choose normal to, and so it adjusts the view to make it normal to that feature. In this case, it's normal to the plane, and I have a sketch open in that plane. So with that said, what I need to do here first, I need to create a direction that's gonna help me. So center line, take this point here, and then make it, let's make it a little bit longer, and it should be perpendicular to this, okay? Now, it's kind of snapping. I feel that it's snapped, so it should be perpendicular. But just to be super safe, what I do is that you select these and this axis, and you make sure that they are perpendicular. And oh, it's already perpendicular. Okay, so it already did it for me. When it snaps, sometimes it snaps, sometimes it doesn't. So it's always good to check. And then I'm gonna create that profile sketch. So let's make a line that starts from here. So I need to start from this point here, and let's make it parallel here. And this should be 15. So smart dimension, select, and make it 15. Okay. Now I'm gonna create some other lines to contour this thing again. Okay? So starting from here, and then I make it snap to the very corner here, then I make it snap to this other corner here if I can, and then I extend it a little bit, and I stop, and then ask, okay? Now to close this line, I need an arc, okay? And the arc should be centered in this point here and connect this to this with a radius of 15. So I need a type of arc that's center point arc, because I'm starting from the center now. So the center point is this, and then from here, and you see that if I do this, it's creating the opposite, so I can do spin around, and then it gives it, oh, and gives it the right one, okay? And it needs to stop somewhere here. Okay, now this point here and this point here need to be coincident. So again, select these two points. We are almost done. Oops, I was still in sketchy mode. So select this point and select this one here, and make them merge. Coincident. Okay. Now the fact that it become bluish is because now it's a closed geometry, and it should already be 15. If you wanna check, you can do smart dimension and check the radius here, and it's already 15. Okay, so that's good. So this is done. Okay, so all I'm left to do now is to revolve these. So with the sketch selected, I do a revolve, and it's doing revolving. Now, one thing that I'm gonna do different in this case compared to the other volumes that I've created, I'm gonna uncheck the merge results. Okay, and then I'm gonna approve. So what? And with F, if you click F, you can see the whole thing. So now it's basically finished, right? And just to clarify what I did, by unchecking the merge, now I have created two different solid bodies. So one solid body is all I've done so far, so the stem and the neck, because every time I created a new piece of volume, I had that merge checked. So it kept merging to the same volume. And then the final one, I said, no, don't merge, and so it created a separate volume. So these are like two different bodies now. The reason why I did this is simply because I want to choose two different materials for those. So one convenient way to do different materials is just create them as separate bodies, and they're different materials. To create a material, so I have still like, again, we're basically done here. Now I'm gonna do a little bit of like polishing here and refinement, but if you need to leave, this is basically done. Any questions? And then I'll do the final polishing. What were the steps where it was really hard to follow? Just for me to understand, yes?
When you created the new plane, the circle there, I got lost.
Okay, was it like something that, because I can spend a couple of minutes to show that again. Okay, any other things that I should like go over again?
So,
Not everything.
so you made the plane and then you blew it out.
I think that's
Okay.
the same question that he was asking. Yeah. So basically, if you take this line and you pull it up, you're basically like hiding, like basically suppressing some of the features. And so we can go and watch again at what we did. So at some point we were here, right? Okay. And then I did also the mirroring of there was the other feature. And then how did I create this coordinate system? Now the sketch is here. So this is the sketch that was contentious, right? Okay. So this sketch here, I'm gonna go over the steps that I covered, and they are also listed in the handout that I gave you. So the first thing that I did, I need some way to create this center point, right? I need to have like that center point defined. There are several ways to do this. The way I did it, it's not necessarily the fastest or the better, but what I did was just to create two center lines that were like these. So I created the first one that connects the midpoint of this horizontal line here to the midpoint of this other horizontal line here. So because I'm connecting the two midpoints, I know that the axis that I'm creating passes through the center of this face. Okay? And then I did basically the same with the horizontal axis, again going to the midpoints. Once you have those two axes, then you can create a point that is basically at the intersection. So if you say within the sketch, say create a point, and you hover on that, close to that intersection, the midpoint gets highlighted like in orange. So you select it, and you have created a point. And you see that it's kind of like a star, so it looks different, and now you have created that point. Now, at that point there, the one thing that I did was to create the rectangle, and because I know where I want the rectangle to be centered, I use the function that is center rectangle. And so the way to do it is that you first click on the center point, and then you pull out, and it creates this rectangle that's like stretchable. And you could try and align it already and make it snap. Or if you don't want to bother, you just make it a random rectangle that's centered in the right center. And then you tell each one of the, like both the horizontal and the vertical segment of the rectangle to make it collinear with whatever reference geometry you have. And so when you make it collinear, it kind of like stretches it to the right shape and size. Now at that point, I was done with this sketch here, and what I did was to go and create a coordinate system. Okay, and the coordinate system, basically, you create it with, you're not in a sketch, just like you're in the general environment here, and you say, go to reference, create a coordinate system, and to create a coordinate system, you need to give it some, like, references. So what I gave it was the center point, which was the center point I created, and two axes. And I used the two axes, vertical and horizontal, that I had created in that sketch. At that point, I have like a coordinate system. Once I've done that, the next thing to do was to create that plane, right? which is this plane here. The way I created that plane was, that's easy. The creation of the plane was easy, I suspect. Because basically, if you go to reference and say create a plane, it says, you need to give me some references. And so, you see that there are like 3 fields. Because to create a plane, you can give it either one plane and makes a parallel plane. Or you can give it one line and a point, so that's 2 references. Or you can give it 3 points that are not aligned, and that's 2 references. So depending on what you have, you may have to use 1 or all 3 of those references. Since I have a plane, I just need 1 reference. So as soon as you click on this face, okay, now the face becomes pink, that's the reference face, and now it has created a parallel plane that's offset by some certain amount. By default, it remembers 25 from before, but I can make this 5, and now it's creating a plane that's much closer. You can make it 100 and make it much farther. You can even do multiple planes. In this case, if you see, like, I have, like, you know, you can create as many planes as you want, but by just increasing this number here. Or you can flip the offset, and so it makes it on the other side. Okay? So I'm not going to create it, because I already have it. And now the part that was also a little bit tricky was, I need to create a circular geometry on this face here, on the 5 face, right? Because I need to loft. And I want to make sure that the circle that I create is aligned with the base, right? So that when I do a loft, it's not like a loft that goes like skewed. It's a loft that comes up like straight, that like, if I look from above, the 2 bases are centered, right? With respect to one another. And so, the way, so Jacqueline decided that it's the end of class. Anyway, sorry, we're going blind now. So the way to do it is basically you need like some kind of reference from the base to the other base. And what I used was 1 point, just the center point. Okay? And so what I did was that like convert entities command that's kind of a little strange, because what it does is takes a feature from a sketch and it projects it on a different sketch. Okay? So I open the new sketch in the new plane, that's the destination. And then I selected the point in the old sketch and I said convert entities. And so what it did, took that plane and moved it, create a copy of that projected on the new plane. Once I'm done that, now I have the center of my circle. So in that new sketch, I create also the circle, 14mm diameter. Now I have the base, the 2 bases for the loft. Select both sketches, the base and the circle, and just click on the loft, and it just does it for you. That was the part that was a little bit more tricky. Okay, this is coming back to life. So I don't have a lot of time. I wanted to show you how to do a rendering of these. But maybe we can do it next week in class, because I think you want to leave. Any questions? We have, take 2 minutes.